Hey guys, yep, this is it, the all-new Toyota Supra. It's been a long time in the making, but now it's finally here. And yes, it does share plenty of components with the BMW Z4. But what I want to try and do today is find out, does that really matter? Like, is it really that critical that, or is it really a negative thing that this shares components with the BMW Z4? Well, on the design front alone, I think Toyota has done a marvelous job at recreating such an iconic car. I love this curvy line that goes over and forms part of the rear haunch. Big wide rear haunches as well. It looks really elegant in my opinion. And it's neatly wrapped around with this integrated spoiler up on the tailgate there, or the hatch lid. And then at the front you've got the long bonnet that houses an inline-six petrol turbo engine. I love the front end. It definitely speaks Supra in my opinion. In fact, even if you just cut the headlights off just there, that headlight looks pretty similar to the last Supra that was on the market. It's quite similar. And then you've got this big sort of Formula One style duct in the front there with two more intakes on the sides. What does disappoint me a little bit is that there are a lot of fake vents on this car. So you've got this big side bit there that's all closed off, and same on the other side, and then this little bit here, it's all closed off. There is an intake that goes through the side of the headlight there, and then there's more fake vents on the bonnet here. They're kind of like heat extraction vents, which, you know, that'll be pretty cool, or even venting for the front there, then it escapes out the side, helping to push the car down, get rid of air, turbulence and so on. And another big fake vent down the side of the door there. Without those plastic, you know, contrasting black pieces in there, I do agree that it would look pretty bare, and it would kind of look almost like the last Supra. They do add definite sportiness, but it would just be nice if some of them, or more of them, were real and actually went through. Nonetheless, I do think it looks very sporty, aggressive, and quite modern. It looks like it would carry through for the next 5 or even 10 years and still look quite good. The model we have here today is the GTS in Australia. I'm not sure how overseas markets work, but in Australia we have the GT and the GTS. Both come with the 3-litre turbocharged BMW engine. There is a 2-litre available as far as I know, or it's going to be available in some markets overseas. We're not offered that in Australia, so we just have this 3-litre engine. It's a masterpiece of an engine. I love this engine in many BMW models. It's an evolved engine too. So started life sort of as the N55, and then it's been progressed, you know, tweaks here and there, well, originally it was twin turbocharged, then they went to single turbocharged. This is single turbocharged now. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with this engine. It's a beautiful engine, perfectly fitting for a Toyota Supra remake. You could argue that yes, Toyota has the famous 2JZ that it could have stuck it under the bonnet there, but that engine's very old now. It's almost 20 years old. It just does not meet the, or would not meet the current emissions standards, which means Toyota would have had to invest millions and millions of more dollars creating a brand new engine. But look at it this way: if Toyota developed, or started from scratch with everything, it means that the cost of this would be even higher. The price that the customers pay would have to be even higher. So that's why manufacturers share things, or share platforms, share engines, because it becomes cheaper. They can distribute the costs and divide the costs. Apart from the body design, which is completely Toyota, the platform, the chassis underneath it all, is based on the BMW Klar layout. And both the Z4 and the Supra are manufactured in Austria. So in other words, it's a European-made Toyota. Again though, I think this is a perfect synergy because, you know, Toyota's got that reliability reputation, and then BMW's got the driving reputation, the driving dynamics reputation. So pair the two together and, you know, I don't see what's wrong with the package or what's wrong with this partnership. Let's check out the interior. Before we get in, you can definitely see that this is a sports car, very low slung. So look how low that roof is. It's down, you know, near my chest, almost near my stomach. That's how low the car is. That means you do have to crouch right down to get in. And in fact, once you're in here, in my opinion anyway, it feels a bit more confined than even the Toyota 86 sports car. Mainly because of this big chunk of a beam that sort of buttress here for the center console, that joins the center console and dashboard. If that were over this side, it would make it more of a, driver focused dash layout. Even if they just remove this beam altogether, I think that would help out quite a lot. It would make it look a bit less dramatic and a bit less exciting being in here though, without that there. It would be quite conventional. Anyone that's driven a modern BMW will recognize plenty of switchgear. The iDrive controller, for example, that's with the iDrive 6 generation sort of software. The latest 7.0 system has sort of flat buttons, whereas this has got the old style system. And then up on the screen here, it is quite a little screen. And again, it kind of feels like it's tilted a little bit to the passenger. If I was sitting on that side, it'd just be a bit more driver focused. But yeah, all the software in here is pretty much BMW. Toyota has made some changes, I've noticed. They've got vehicle settings, which have a few different menu layouts. Like I know in BMWs, you go into vehicle settings and it will have, for example, display, and you can configure the instrument cluster and the main display there. Whereas in the Toyota, I think you've got to go into system settings, which I don't think exists in BMW, and then you can go into display there. You can change the head-up display and everything. There aren't all that many adjustments for the instrument cluster, even though there is this big blank spot on the right. You'll notice when I'm driving, I can't figure out what to put there. I can't figure out if there's any adjustment on what to put there. You just have this little button on the side of the stalk, which changes the lower screen there. You've got your trip information, your fuel consumption, and so on. But yeah, there's a lot of sort of blank space there. And then obviously up here, you've just got onboard computer. That's the only thing that you can sort of configure or show. So you can get rid of the consumption and it will minimize the amount of information that it displays. And then another BMW thing is these preset buttons. So you can program these to do not whatever you want, but you can make number 4, for example, go to a certain specific menu. So you can make it go to the driver profiles or vehicle settings or something like that. Have another one just go to a specific radio station. They're actually sort of touch response as well. So you look up the top there, and without actually pressing them, it'll show you what they do, which is quite nice. All of the fixtures and fittings feel pretty high quality to me. It feels like a BMW pretty much. There's hardly any scratchy plastics. Even for the dash there, it does have that sort of elephant skin pattern, but it is soft touch, leather style dash trimming along the top there with stitching. I'm not sure if that's real leather though, but still it's better than scratchy plastic. And then you've got this carbon fiber style trim. It actually does look like real carbon fiber. It probably would be. This is the GTS model, as I said, so it might actually be real carbon fiber. That's a nice touch. And then the GTS also comes with or I think it might be optional or no cost option, the red leather. You can get black as well, as far as I know. But yeah, that just makes the interior pop a bit more. I'm not a huge fan of the steering wheel. Actually, I'm a fan of the steering wheel here. It feels quite nice to grab. Nice paddles right there as well. You don't have to reach right around like some BMW models. They're just nicely positioned. But this big centerpiece here, it's definitely a little bit off-putting. It looks like it's been stuck on. It's kind of oval, and if you look closely, like you could feel like you could just pull that off, and then this indent here would actually go a bit lower. It's kind of, yeah, a bit funny. That makes it look a bit awkward in my opinion. If they made that a bit smaller and just cut off just there, it'll look a bit nicer, but then it would be pretty much a BMW steering wheel. Again, this is an older style system of BMW, so this is all sort of 6.0 operating system. The newer ones have got like flat flush buttons. But yeah, it's all there. You've got volume control, adaptive cruise control, and so on. But yeah, it does feel like a nice steering wheel to hold. It's quite driver centric. It just is a little bit aged, particularly the sort of button design. There isn't much room for your belongings in here, but it is a sports car, I suppose. There's no center console box. It's just got 2 cup holders and then a little trough in the back there for your phone or whatever, or I suppose you put your phone at the front. But yeah, you can't actually lift that up, which I don't know why, because it's not like the transmission would come all the way, you know, as high as the cup holders there. And then in the back, you've got quite a small boot with little speakers, or big speakers or subwoofers, I don't know what they are. But yeah, sitting on the rear beam there that connects the two rear wheels. I like the way this vent runs straight through the dash there, even though it's not a vent over that side, but it sort of makes it look quite clean, and it does help to increase the perception of space, make it look wider and more horizontal. You've got a pretty small glove box there. And I'm not sure if you can see, but you do have map pockets or little side pockets in the doors. Definitely not bottle holders or cup holders or anything like that. They're quite shallow. You could probably put your wallet in there or your phone maybe, and that's about it. The grab handle doesn't go through, which I love. I love I hate handles that go straight through, so when you put your stuff in there, it just drops through to the bottom, so that's good that they've got that there, in my opinion anyway. Nice little door handles made out of metallic sort of trim. It doesn't feel cheap or nasty. And then yeah, the GTS version comes with a JBL higher end stereo than the base GT model. Let's quickly check out the boot and go for a drive. To open the boot, you just got this little button hidden under this little speaker there. And yeah, you've got a bit of space, good for a weekend getaway or something like that. It does go quite deep into the sides there, and you've got little netted storage pocket. Nothing underneath the floor, but you do have these tie hooks as well to secure your items. Let's go for a spin. For this video, I want to try and talk a little bit less, particularly for the driving side of things, because this is a driver's car after all. So I'll try and just give you some nice footage of what it's like to drive the new Supra. So there's only sort of two driving modes with the Supra, as opposed to the BMW that have their or has its driving experience control toggle thing with Eco Pro and Comfort and all that. This just has a sport mode. So there's either sport off, normal balanced setting it says, and sport on. I have noticed when you put it into sport mode, there is a bit more sort of artificial sound coming through the speakers, which is quite a shame actually, because from the exhaust pipe it sounds awesome. And even like the engine sound itself, it's got that classic 6-cylinder sing to it. So there's no need for fake sound to come through the speakers, in my opinion. But anyway, it does sound good. It's definitely a nice 6-cylinder soundtrack. Give it some. You got pops and bangs from the exhaust as well on the overrun. Yeah, it sounds good. It's definitely a beautiful engine. As I said before, it's really the perfect engine. Aside from Toyota remaking a 2JZ or something like that, I think this is the perfect engine for this car. I suppose the only other driving modes that you have are to do with the stability control. So you can hit it once and you get a traction mode activated, which is kind of like a sport traction mode. And then if you hold it down, then you've got to start again. But if you hold it down, it'll turn it completely off. VSC deactivated. So that's a Toyota thing too. It's called VSC, whereas BMW calls it something else. Everyone calls their stability controls something different. Another bunch of acronyms to try and remember. The other mode you can choose between is with the transmission. Unlike most BMW models, I'm not going to say all, because there's probably some people out there that will say, no, this model doesn't have it. But when you flick it across, in BMW you get an S mode, which is still automatic upshifting, in most cars anyway. I know that if you put it into Sport Plus in certain M models, it'll go into automatic manual mode. But anyway, this just has manual mode. So it's either D or M, that's it. As soon as you push it across, it's up to you. It won't change gear for you. And then, as I said, you can use these paddles behind the steering wheel. They're perfectly positioned, or you can use the actual gear shifter itself, pushing up to change down, pulling back to change up, which is the right way in my opinion. Some cars are the other way around. You push it forward to change up a gear, which doesn't make sense. You want to be pushing it forward to change down a gear. That's normally how race cars or sequential transmissions work in race cars. So you hit it down to change down a gear. Very linear engine, 500 Newton meters coming in from low RPM. So you've got more than enough power and torque to have a lot of fun actually. Plenty of traction as well. These are awesome Michelin tyres, staggered widths as well, so you've got fatter ones on the back. And in fact, even in sort of this, it has been raining this morning, but there's a few little wet patches. Even across those, you can have full power, and it won't kick out, or it won't, you know, suddenly do something that you're not expecting it to do. We'll come back up this road because there's some nice corners, beautiful hairpin bends. Great steering, you can place it exactly where you want it to be. There's no surprises, there's hardly any understeer as well. Great brakes, you can really lean on them, good pedal feel. Even the suspension is really nice. I actually think this suspension setup is better than the suspension setup in the Z4 M40i. Especially on just normal road conditions like this, where there's bumps and so on. Because it's not bouncing me or throwing me around at all, even over pretty sharp and sudden bumps. Okay, back up the hill now. We can really rely on that 500 Newton meters of torque. Even in fourth gear right now, it's pulling just fine. There's plenty of torque from this engine. And obviously plenty of torque to do sort of drifting shenanigans as well. I find that if you just lean on the power and follow the racing line per se, the limited slip differential really hooks up and just pulls you through without fuss. But if you do want to drift on a track, for example, you just give the steering wheel a bit of a prod, or the accelerator a bit of a prod, and it will kick the back end out beautifully. It's really controllable as well. And that tells me that the people that engineered this car are actually driving enthusiasts. Like, you can't accidentally engineer a car to be this well balanced. Like, it's not like, you know, you got a bunch of people that just design something and then, hey, it drifts beautifully, or it controls, it has really good grip driving as well. You don't just accidentally stumble upon that. And yeah, it makes it an awesome driver's car, a genuine driver's car. The transmission is really good as well. It's a ZF based unit, just like most BMWs and a lot of Jaguars and so on. Changes gear exactly when you want it to. Upshifts are really quick. I mean, a dual clutch automatic would obviously be a little bit quicker, but I really don't think this unit detracts from any sort of driving fun at all. It also helps give the Supra a bit of a grand touring quality about it, which is kind of what the Supra has been about all along as well. So for example here, I'll follow the sort of racing line. That's full throttle, and it just grips up and propels you around. I've also discovered that when you put it into D, so you flick it across to D and you've got it in sport mode, it will pretty much behave like a BMW in the S mode of the transmission. Like it will change down gears aggressively, blip the throttle and so on, even in D. So it's kind of, you got that S mode anyway, but then yeah, if you want manual, you just flick it across. It is a bit of a shame we miss out on the 285 kilowatt engine tune until later in this year. Like at the end of the year, I think they start to arrive in Australia. But in saying that, 250 kilowatts is plenty of power. Like, it really hauls ass. We've timed 0 to 100 in about 4.1 or 4.2 seconds, I think, with the GT version. I'll try and find a spot along here we can do a 0 to 100 test with the V-Box for this GTS version. I expect it to be a touch slower just because it's got a few more luxuries like heated seats, and I think the JBL stereo is a bit more comprehensive in this GTS version. But even still, yeah, it's plenty of power, excellent acceleration for this style of car. Okay, I found a little straight bit just back here, and it is a 100km/h speed limit zone. And the surface isn't too bad. It's quite slick. It's not quite drag strip conditions, but you know, it's pretty good. I've got the V-Box on the outside there. It is an overcast day, and sometimes it doesn't pick up very well if I try and stick it on the inside of the windscreen. But I'll run it in sport mode, and with the traction control in sport mode as well. So that's just one touch, as we saw before. And I'll use the launch control system where I build up the engine revs on the brakes and see how we go. Actually, I might just start from here. It is still grippy on this surface because there's quite a few cars coming along, and it'll probably be a bit dangerous if I stop in the middle of the road. So I'll just start from here and then just sort of gradually go. I'll keep a straight line, but just gradually go back onto the road. So start, bring up the engine revs, go. Bit of a chirp into second. That's 100. I'll pull over and we can have a look at what we did. It looks like it done 4.4. So there you go, 4.38. That's pretty quick for the real world. That was just a quick demonstration run as well. I don't even know how flat it is. It seems like a pretty flat road. And as I said, the surface is quite grippy. But yeah, 4.38 is definitely quick enough for this style of car. I'm sure if you took it to the drag strip or done some light weight reduction, such as, you know, have only a tiny bit of fuel left in the tank. I don't actually know what fuel is in this car as well. When I picked it up, it had a full tank. So I don't know what Toyota has put in it. I'm assuming they would have put 98 RON or 98 octane fuel in it, but I don't know for sure. But anyway, that 4.38 in the real world is definitely a quick bit of gear. The GR Supra performs well as a Grand Touring Coupe as well. It's not quite at the level of the Lexus LC. That's more of a textbook Grand Tourer. I know that's not a direct competitor to this, but I just mean that's sort of a textbook Grand Tourer, whereas this, it can perform pretty well as a Grand Tourer in that way. The only thing that sort of detracts from its ability in that area is the interior is a bit confined. As I said, you've got this big beam here, and it just makes you feel quite restricted and sort of focused. And if you want to go for a serious drive, that's totally fine. If you want to hit the track or something like that, that's perfect for that because you just feel very connected with the car. But if you're out on the highway like this, take it out of sport mode, let the powertrain just relax a little bit, the engine revs drop, and it just cruises along really well. And as I said, the suspension soaks up bumps, especially Australian, we've got pretty shoddy roads in Australian conditions, in the back roads, especially country roads like this. And it performs really well. It just soaks up the bumps and is quite relaxing to drive. Even that soothing 6-cylinder engine sound helps with the comfort, the overall sort of experience of driving a Supra. Overall, I think this is an excellent crack at a new Supra, or reviving the Supra nameplate. Yes, it doesn't have a Toyota engine, it doesn't have a Toyota chassis, but who cares? You get BMW. You might, I've heard people say, oh, that's just a BMW with a Toyota badge. Who cares? Isn't that a good thing? Like you're buying a non-premium brand Toyota, but you're getting a premium underpinnings. So to me, that's a win-win situation. The Supra is also about $30,000 or $20,000 to $30,000 more affordable than the Z4 M40i. I know that is a convertible, so you can drop down the roof and you get an added element of driving excitement. But still, that's quite a big margin of price to go for the Supra. If I had to dream up a new Supra, I don't think I could do as well as this. Like, I think they've done a really, really good job at keeping the costs as low as sort of possible, but as well as rekindling that awesome inline-six spirit of the Supra nameplate. I just love it. I would definitely buy one of these in a heartbeat. I hope that they do a bit of a facelift, and I hope they move this panel across to the other side. But other than that, I wouldn't change a thing really. The 285 kilowatt version would be very interesting. It's still got the same 500 newton meters of torque. So you still got to get that same sort of low down pickup and mid-range pull. But just up at the top end, you'll just have even more power to play with. You can head over to performancedrive.com.au and check out the full review of the GT version. We will be putting together a quick review of this GTS, mainly to position this video somewhere on the webpage. But I won't be doing another 0 to 100 time or anything like that. I don't see the point really. It's pretty much the same package as the GT. And as we saw, you get similar times for 0 to 100 anyway. Thanks for watching.